What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. A lot of you guys ask what champions are the best to learn and potentially play as a main, and a lot of the time it should probably come down to who you just enjoy the most, but another really good factor for finding a champion worth learning is flexibility. If a champion can be played in a lot of different ways, you're always going to be able to get the chance to play them in the new queue system. So today we're covering another super flexible champion, Quinn. Quinn can be played as a top laner, mid laner, jungler, and even an AD carry, so you have a lot of options, and today we're going to go through the strengths and weaknesses of each one. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you don't, hit that dislike. And unlike the Echo video we made before, Quinn actually has 4 roles that she can really shine in. So we're going to cover all of them, and one of the big differences between Echo's various playstyles and Quinn's is that although Echo changed his effectiveness and especially his playstyle too based on his items, Quinn stays as a powerful duelist and a strong roamer because of her kit alone, regardless of the role she's in, so she does tend to stick to quite a similar build path no matter where you play her. The differences are mostly in how she can abuse that power in each lane, so that's mostly what we're going to go over. For both mid, top, and jungling, Quinn pretty much always runs with a 12-18-0 mastery setup with Thunderlord's Decree, and these roles really let her make the most of her early burst damage combo, and she wants to use that to get kills early on to snowball ahead. Quinn's runes, on the other hand, never really need to change regardless of your role. You can get by just fine in any role with attack damage marks, armor seals, magic resistance glyphs, and attack speed quints. Quinn's items are also pretty much always the same too. Mid lane and top lane work the same way with a core of swiftness boots, ghost blade, and a static shiv, and jungle wants to pick up a warrior enchant jungle item first, but essentially still builds the same way. And top and mid lane can also grab a hex drinker against bursty AP lane opponents, and you probably want to pick up an infinity edge after the rest of the core build path, but as a lower income role, jungle can't generally afford this unless you're already snowballing really hard. So let's look at jungle first. Quinn jungle is a really powerful pick because of the insane mobility. Her first clear is respectable thanks to the area of effect on her Q and her passive resets on jungle monsters, and she's super strong at level 2, potentially strong enough to gank early on if an enemy lane is pushing. If she has a healthy clear, she can choose to invade against weaker enemy junglers to grab early kills with that insane early trading potential. By resetting your passive with your abilities, you can take down low health junglers in no time at all, and it's a great way to put yourself ahead and put the enemy behind. Quinn jungle can potentially struggle a little bit to gank unless you have hard crowd control on your laners, or if the enemy team is pushing in really hard, but using your W for vision and keeping an eye on the minimap allows you to invade really successfully and quite reliably, so you can focus on the enemy jungler and farming until you reach level 6, and at that point ganks are just insane, as you're just so fast and enemies cannot outrun you. Quinn wants to get expensive items though, so she really needs to snowball as much as possible. And this works in your favor though because of how strong Quinn is in the early game. Quinn jungle tends to transition into a split pusher in the late game rather than maybe a teamfight style, but she can definitely hover around the enemy jungle looking for picks. Quinn top lane is probably the most popular way to play Quinn right now because she is really favored against a lot of top lane matchups. You can close distance or gain distance however you want with your E and poke quite hard with your Q, and this means pretty much most melee champions have a really difficult time against Quinn, and if they don't respect your burst, you can end up killing them really quickly early on. This powerful laning phase and the fact that most enemy top laners will be AD means that you can just buy straight into your damage items and look to stomp every 1v1 opportunity. Once you reach level 6, you can definitely look to roam, but a lot of Quinn players choose to stay top lane pushing hard and forcing the enemy team to react. This transition into a sort of a split pushing style means you can pull pressure away from your team, but to do it safely, you do need to use your ultimate to get into the enemy jungle and put down some defensive wards whenever possible. If you keep vision on the top side jungle, you can pretty much fly away though before an enemy can stop you pushing, and then you can just fly in once again once they leave. This strategy is really hard to deal with for most players, especially in lower elos, and it's one of the reasons Quinn top has such an insane win rate. She works so well at split pushing, especially if you have teleport too, and enemy teams will often try to force 4v5 fights if you're taking down towers top lane though, so once again having teleport means you can join in your teammates pretty much instantly when need be, which is just awesome. Mid lane Quinn is a little bit more fragile than top lane Quinn since a lot of the laning matchups, your opponent's going to have quite a bit more kill potential on you than in the top lane. A lot more matchups include ranged opponents, and you often need a Hex Drinker because of the high burst presence in the mid lane. This does delay your power spikes by a little bit, but if you do outtrade and potentially even kill the enemy mid laner, it's going to have way more impact on a game than killing a top laner. A mid laner needs gold for offensive items, so putting yourself ahead while denying them kills or farm can oftentimes render a lot of mid laners useless. A death in the mid lane also opens up a lot more opportunities for objectives for your team, so use those windows of time to take dragons or Rift Herald if you can. As a mid laner, you want to use your ultimate to roam, assisting your bot or top laners with a numbers advantage so that you can help put other lanes ahead. And from there on out, you want to keep rolling with your team and make Monte Cristo proud with some rotations. Deny as many objectives as you can and put your whole team ahead. Quinn isn't necessarily amazing at teamfighting, but you really excel at singling out one enemy target, kind of like an assassin, so pouncing on the enemy AD carry or maybe the enemy mid laner whenever you get a chance is a great way to swoop in and swing a fight in your favor, and at this point, you are pretty much just playing like an assassin. Swoop in, take out a squishy target, and then back out. Now, Quinn's playstyle and build changes a lot when you play her as AD carry. You don't really want to run Thunderlords as AD carry because the early trading power is less meaningful in the 2 versus 2 lane. Instead, you want to take 18, 12, and 0 with Fervor of Battle, which is ideal because it gives you way more sustained damage for the longer lasting fights. Your items change a bit too, since sustained fights means you need to be able to lifesteal, so a Bloodthirster is a great pickup after your core items, which are going to be the Shiv and Infinity Edge, and you'll still deal the majority of your damage with abilities, so potentially maybe an Essence Reaver is worth considering to lower your cooldowns. Essence Reaver also does have a really nice build path for the bot laning phase, so rush that first if you want the cooldown reduction. AD carry Quinn takes less risks overall though than the other Quinn builds, but you still have a lot of burst potential, and picking Quinn as an AD carry can potentially even take the enemy bot laners by surprise, since it's a little bit of an off-meta pick. She works best in a kill lane with a support who can deal a great amount of damage, and by focusing the same target you can take down squishy AD carries or supports extremely fast and turn it into an easy 1 vs 2. With AD carry Quinn, you do want to farm up a little bit in the early laning, and for moving around the map, it's best to roam with your support than doing so alone. And you don't really need to worry about missing farm too much because of your ult's movement speed increase. You're going to be able to glide back down to bot lane before you miss too many CS. A good strategy is to group up early with your jungler for maybe a fast dragon, or time it with the enemy buff spawns to steal it away and maybe catch the enemy jungler in the process. With a support who can keep the bottom side jungle warded or potentially warding it yourself, AD carry Quinn can be a really big nuisance of just shoving up the lane as far as possible and then recalling constantly. You don't really want to split push alone because you'll probably be mid lane fodder for the ever popular assassins in this meta. AD carry Quinn is by far the most glass cannon of all the playstyles, so although you are going to be dealing a little bit more damage, you do need to rely on your team to peel for you, and it can be a little bit easier to punish mistakes against her. She can outduel almost anyone other than assassins though, and with Fervor of Battle you're way more effective in drawn out teamfights, so there's not as much downside to being grouped with your team, and you can still have that dominant late game teamfighting presence as any AD carry would. Probably one of the more noticeable differences between the 4 roles is the summoner spells that you end up taking. For jungling you obviously want to smite, AD carry you obviously want to heal, that's definitely going to be the best summoner spell to go for, and as a top laner with a focus on split pushing, teleport is by far the most ideal choice. Mid lane however is a little bit more tricky though. Against high burst champions like maybe a LeBlanc, you might find that you actually need the protection that a barrier might give. Against a melee range farmer, Ignite can give you the kill pressure that you might need to begin snowballing, and against champions with really strong and frequent hard crowd control that you might have trouble dodging, Cleanse can be a pretty good choice too, to make sure that you can stay mobile. If you want something versatile, Teleport's still an amazing choice in the mid lane too. It can let you recall early in different lanes without missing CS, it can let you roam to other lanes before level 6, and it can let you split push if your team really needs more pressure on the map. So in the mid lane, the versatility that you have with your summoner spell choices does give you a nice little advantage that you wouldn't get in the other roles. Power spikes are pretty even across the board as Quinn. Jungle probably reaches it first as Warrior is a much cheaper and still a really powerful item, and Quinn can make use of the aggressive stats it gives to duel anyone. We probably recommend the Skirmishers enchant, the red enchant. Top lane also reaches a peak of power next because she can dump gold straight into offensive items without worrying about needing a Hex Drinker in pretty much most matchups early on. AD carry Quinn and mid lane Quinn are a little bit more matchup dependent for your build. Sometimes you do need to stick to farming a little bit longer, and sometimes you're just gonna destroy your laning phase. It's more likely that you can get ahead by roaming with mid lane Quinn though, but AD carry Quinn is by far the most powerful in the late game. Teamfights happen more often the longer a game goes, which really favors the Fervor build, and can mean that the Thunderlord's Quinn build can struggle a little bit to be useful in teamfights. You're definitely still strong, but you do need to find a way to use that power optimally. Searching for a single target to take out before a fight or being a nuisance in a side lane to steal away an inhibitor is definitely the best place to be with all of that dueling power. And that pretty much covers all the differences between Quinn's playstyles in each role. Hopefully this video was helpful. Make sure to leave us a comment with your Quinn tips and tricks, and definitely let us know what you think is the best way to play Quinn, and feel free to request another champion for a playstyle comparison video in the future. And it looks like that's going to be it from me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.